This short tutorial will provide the viewer with the necessary steps to configure automatic survey corrections in the Touch software. The first step is to load the Touch software, which I have already done here. Now, on the Live page, click the Surveys tab in the top left. Next, double-click on the Surveys tab. The Surveys pop-up will now appear on screen, defaulted to the Raw Surveys table. To configure survey corrections, first click the Corrected tab at the bottom. Now click the Configure button in the top right. The configuration dialog will now appear on screen. First, select your survey corrections provider. Current options are HPT, formerly known as Magvar, and Superior QC. Next, enter your username. Then, enter your password. Once your username and password have been entered, click Fetch Wells to view a list of wells accessible by your account. Finally, click Select next to the well to use. After selecting the well, the configuration dialog will close. If any existing corrections have been made, they will be populated in the Corrected Surveys table here. This is the minimal amount of configuration needed to get up and running with the automatic survey corrections. However, there are additional configuration options available to the users. One additional feature is the units configuration. To access this, head back to the ASC Configuration by clicking the Configure button on the ASC tab and then clicking Units Config. The Units Configuration dialog will appear on screen. Users are able to configure the units for depth, gravity, and magnetism. To configure units, simply select the preferred unit in the dropdown. It is important to note that the corrections provider must match these units on their end. Speak with the corrections provider to ensure that they have configured units correctly. Finally, the end-of-survey behavior can also be configured. To do so, navigate to the Settings tab. Several options are presented to the user. Enable Survey pop-up will automatically be enabled when automatic survey corrections are enabled. The current run number can be modified here to assist with Superior QC's run tracking. Auto Dismiss Timeout is the length of time the end of the survey pop-up should appear. After that time, the survey is automatically submitted to the corrections provider. Enable Auto Check Shot if you want the Touch software to automatically detect if a survey should be submitted to the corrections provider as a check shot survey. Touch will determine a check shot as a survey whose depth is less than the last submitted survey. Enable Auto Reject if you want the Touch software to automatically detect if a survey should be submitted to the corrections provider as a rejected survey. Touch will determine a rejected survey as one whose survey qualifiers fall outside of the defined acceptable range. Sensor offset is used to specify the distance between the sensor and the bit. This is subtracted from the bit depth to calculate survey depth. The auto reject parameters here specify the minimum and maximum values for gravity and magnetism used to determine if a survey should be automatically rejected. These values are only used when the auto reject is enabled. Now, having configured the software for corrections, we can exit the menu. Click the left arrow to close the survey settings dialog. We are now ready to begin decoding. To speed up the process, I'm going to simulate 6-axis decodes. Now, upon receiving the last of the 6-axis data, the Survey Complete pop-up will appear on screen. On the bottom, we can see a progress bar indicating how long the pop-up will remain on screen before auto-submitting the survey. This time is configured by the auto-dismiss timer settings. At this time, we can enter the depth of the survey and specify the survey type. Valid survey types are accepted, checkshot, and rejected. Once the depth has been entered and the survey type selected, we can click Confirm to submit the survey to the corrections provider. This concludes the automatic survey corrections configuration tutorial. Thank you for your time and happy drilling.